Hey y'all, I just want to get on here and yap real quick. And bear with me, my lip and chin are still numb from wisdom tooth surgery. There's this trend that's low-key been here forever in the mental health and wellness field where we tend to overemphasize finding ways to stay regulated when we're actually all living through very dysregulating situations. And I'm realizing that as a therapist, wellness advocate, I can't really have responsible, authentic dialogue around wellness without actively naming some of the things that are contributing to our unwellness right now in society. So I'm going to yap about this briefly and sprinkling in some climate change concerns because that is feeling really present for me today. So let's get into it. So I live in Philly, and if you also live in Philly, you know that last weekend we had this pretty devastating storm that swept through. Streets flooded, power outages, a tree fell on my mom's house. It was a wild time. And as I speak, we are currently blanketed in smoke from these ongoing wildfires in Canada. Let me just say, there is no coping skill or somatic practice in the book that can regulate you out of the impact of climate disaster. Regardless of where you stand politically, economically, climate change will impact every single one of us on this planet. And when we talk about well-being, we can't isolate individual wellness and not acknowledge the impacts we have on the home that we share collectively, the systemic difficulties that contribute to human suffering in the first place, and these larger systems in play that benefit, from our ignorance of all these things and our separation from each other, which further feeds into this cycle of unwellness. So if you're a wellness advocate, can we make a few commitments real quick? One, when we talk about wellness, let's also talk about what it means to live in a society that profits off of our unwellness. Two, when we share wellness concepts and practices, a lot of which come from or are deeply influenced by Indigenous people, that we actually be just as vocal about the issues facing those populations. Three, when we talk about wellness, let's talk about our very real connection to the earth. And if we live disconnected from the impact we have on earth, we're also disconnected from ourselves and each other. And four, which is probably the biggest one, when we talk about wellness, let's also talk about the trauma of colonization and how many of the social problems that we're dealing with, climate change included, is directly linked to colonialism, exploitation, and extraction of resources. And that process is still ongoing in so many areas and further being exacerbated by the construction of these data centers that have this endless need for water and energy. So basically, when we talk about wellness, I just want us to start telling the whole truth. And part of that truth is that we are all collectively unwell. And I don't think that only focusing on doing more breathing practices or adding another journal prompt to the list is going to be the thing to focus on. Will those tools help us create space to find solutions? Absolutely. But the work can't stop there. That's all I had to say. So let me know in the comments any resources you found on this topic, any accounts you follow with helpful information, any projects or groups you've been involved in, and I'm asking for being for y'all, because I think it's time that we start building community around authentic and responsible wellness. That's it. I'll see y'all soon.